Have you ever wondered what secrets lie hidden deep within the frozen expanses of our planet? Well, if you've been looking for an answer, you've come to the right place. Scientists have been busy uncovering shocking discoveries that have shocked the world and changed our understanding of this small blue planet forever. From unearthing hidden cities where an ancient civilization once dwelled, to finding perfectly preserved human bodies, ice is baffling us even today. So, join us as we explore 15 icy discoveries that shocked everyone. Number 1. Ancient viruses. In 2014, scientists made a groundbreaking discovery when they found ancient viruses frozen in the Siberian permafrost. The viruses, which were 700 years old, had been trapped in the ice and preserved in a dormant state, allowing scientists to study them and gain insight into their behavior and potential impact on modern populations. The discovery was made by a team of scientists led by Jean-Michel Claverie and Chantal Abergel, who had been studying permafrost for several years. They had been searching for signs of ancient life and were surprised to find viruses preserved for centuries. The viruses, identified as phages or viruses that infect bacteria, were found in the permafrost beneath the Chukotka region of Siberia. It turns out that even though they had been buried in the ice for so long, that they were still infectious when thawed out. One reason why this discovery was significant was that it proved that viruses could easily survive in frozen environments for hundreds of years and still be as infectious as they were at the beginning of their lives. Understandably, this has important implications for the study of infectious diseases. Plus, it reminds us of the potential for ancient viruses to be released as the permafrost melts due to climate change. While the viruses found in Siberia are not a direct threat to our health, they are part of a larger ecosystem of viruses in the environment. Some of these viruses could potentially be harmful if they were released into the modern world. But scientists are paving their way forward, and we hope carefully. Number 2. Massive city under glacier. You need to prepare for what we have next. In 2019, scientists revealed that they'd discovered a huge cavity under a glacier in Antarctica. In reality, it's as big as 2/3 of Manhattan. That's massive. The glacier we're talking about is called the Thwaites Glacier, which is one of the fastest-moving glaciers in Antarctica. The cavity was found using satellite data and ice-penetrating radar, created by the melting of ice beneath the glacier. What's causing the glacier to melt, you might ask? The answer is simple. Because of changing ocean currents and warming temperatures caused by climate change, the temperature is rising. As we are all aware, scientists are really concerned about this. The melting and eventual collapse of the glacier could result in a considerable rise in sea levels. It turns out that this glacier has the capacity to increase sea levels worldwide by more than 2 feet. If it were to entirely melt, that is. Too much water might have disastrous effects on the inhabitants of coastal areas, as well as the local fauna. It is also important because the ice underlying the glacier, not the glacier itself, melted to form this hollow. It demonstrates that warm ocean water is in fact destroying the glacier from below as it flows beneath it. This worries researchers who are looking at how climate change is affecting polar regions in particular. It's not all terrible news, though. An international team of researchers has come together to explore this glacier in response to the cavity's discovery. And ideally, they'll be able to create plans to lessen the effects of its collapse. Number 3. A river under the ice. Antarctica is known for its harsh and frigid environment, but recent discoveries have revealed that the continent holds secrets beneath its icy surface. One of the most remarkable finds is the presence of a river deep below the ice in Antarctica. When drilling through 900 meters of ice on the Filchner-Ronne ice shelf in 2018, a group of scientists led by Griffith University in Australia discovered a groundbreaking discovery. Under the ice, they discovered a network of rivers and lakes, one of which was particularly interesting because it was an underground river that had never been observed before. A network of linked lakes that are nutrient-rich and home to a complex ecology of tiny life forms feed the underground river, which is around the size of the Thames River in the UK. Not to mention, the river's water is super warm and may get as hot as 25 degrees Celsius or 77 degrees Fahrenheit. The fact that this ecosystem exists in full isolation from the outside world makes it extremely amazing. Number 4. Woolly mammoths. One of the most amazing discoveries in recent years is the unearthing of frozen woolly mammoths in Siberia. Researchers have learned a great deal about this extinct species, from its physical features and habits to the causes of its demise. In 1799, a Russian fur trapper discovered the first woolly mammoth preserved in ice. Since then, numerous more examples have been recovered across Siberia. Thick fur, short ears, and long, curved tusks helped these mammoths survive the harsh conditions of the last ice age. You know what they look like, but now we have proof that many of our assumptions about the animals were true. Matters improved drastically when they also found DNA in the frozen woolly mammoths. Researchers have used this DNA to learn more about the species' genetic history and how it contributed to its eventual demise. Not to mention, scientists have also used this DNA to study the similarities and differences between woolly mammoths and the very obviously related elephants. And thanks to all this research, we have now identified the genetic variants that allowed the mammoths to thrive in these harsh climates. While studying their DNA, researchers were also able to point out their morphological traits. Researchers have pieced together the mammoths' former selves by analyzing their tusks and other remains. It's safe to say that the study of preserved woolly mammoths has offered us some exciting information, including the fact that these animals thrived for thousands of years despite a constantly shifting climate. Who knows? Maybe we'll just figure out their secret too. Number 5. Frozen human bodies. When the frozen bodies of humans and animals were found perfectly preserved in ice, scientists were astounded. It's hard to imagine how these remains have been able to survive intact for such a long time. But their discovery has provided us with invaluable insights into the lives of our ancient ancestors. One of the most famous examples of such a discovery is the body of Otzi the Iceman, which was found in the Alps in 1991. Otzi's body had been preserved in the ice for over 5,000 years, and his discovery has revolutionized our understanding of the lives of people who lived during the Copper Age. The preservation of these ancient remains is genuinely remarkable. The cold temperatures of the ice have prevented decay and allowed the mummies to remain virtually unchanged for thousands of years. As a result, scientists have been able to study them and gain insight into the lifestyles, health, and even the fashion of people from these ancient civilizations. We know what he ate, what he did in his final hours, as well as so much about his maladies and illnesses. Not to mention, we also know how he died. From what researchers can tell, Otzi was shot by an arrow, and if he did manage to pull it out, he would have bled to death within minutes. More of Otzi's secrets will have to be unlocked with the help of new technology, which is likely to happen. In 2012, as next-generation sequencing was becoming more widespread and cheaper, his genome, which was 5,000 years old, was decoded. But Zink believes that even back then, he never would have thought that scientists would one day be able to put together the Iceman's microbiota. Yes, it's shocking to find such a well-preserved mummy, but it's also so exciting to see just how far humanity has come. Number 6. Tiny comet particles. Researchers got very lucky with this amazing discovery. They've found comet dust preserved in the ice and snow of Antarctica. This is the first time these particles have ever been discovered on Earth's surface. But what's particularly fascinating about this major discovery is that we finally have a new source of these particles. Our access to these particles is so much easier now, and researchers can continue to gain valuable insights into how our solar system was formed. Planetary scientist Larry Nittler felt exhilarated for those who study these extraterrestrial materials, as now they have a whole new way to access suitable materials for their research. You see, until now, the only way to collect this type of dust was by flying an airplane through the stratosphere. Not only was this a tiring and costly process, but it also contaminated the particles researchers wanted to study. But now, not only do the researchers have a new source to get these particles, they have a significantly larger source than they could have hoped for. And let's not forget, comet dust found in Antarctica is much cleaner than the ones they gathered by flying planes. Number 7. Ghost Mountains. A mysterious mountain range deep under the Antarctic ice has been in a deep freeze for thousands of years. These Gamburtsev Mountains are presumed to have once been a part of a rift that was 1,800 miles long, and it is also assumed that the rift first formed almost 250 million years ago when the ancient supercontinent Gondwana split. If you would like to know, Gondwana is said to have consisted of East Antarctica, India, Africa, and Australia. But while these mountains may have existed practically forever, they weren't discovered until the mid-1900s. Russian explorers at the time were baffled by the strange gravity changes they could feel from under the ice. Of course, they went to investigate further, and what did they find? Well, it turns out that scans showed a huge mountain range hiding beneath the ice. It's about the same size as the European Alps and has peaks that are nearly 15,000 feet high. Fausto Ferraccioli of the British Antarctic Survey in Cambridge, England, is very excited to learn more about these ranges. Almost as exciting as studying a new planet, if you ask the team. The team of geophysicists took magnetic readings and scans and were able to put together a complete picture of the mountain's history. The truly incredible thing about this discovery is that it wouldn't have existed if not for the ice. Ferraccioli explained that had the Gamburtsev not been encased in the deep freeze, it would have eroded a long while ago, and there would have been no ghost mountains to discover in the first place. Number 8. 280-million-year-old fossil forest. Geologists have discovered the oldest known polar forest in Antarctica, which includes 280-million-year-old tree fossils. During the continent's summer months, Eric Gulbrandsen and John Isbell from the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee explored the Transantarctic Mountains and found ancient specimens among rocks that once formed a leafy forest. The team had previously found fossil fragments of 13 trees, which they estimated to be over 260 million years old. This indicates that the forest would have grown way before the first dinosaurs appeared at the end of the Permian period. To further understand how the forest could have flourished in such an extreme environment, the team has returned to the frozen slopes. Professor Gulbrandsen noted that while the fossils in Antarctica have been known since around 1910, most of the region remains unexplored. But what they did find was that the polar forest grew at a latitude where plants cannot grow today. So, the species they found must have been exceptionally resilient to survive in such an extreme environment. Professor Gulbrandsen noted that there are no comparable plant species in existence today, and the team is now working to understand why the ancient trees eventually went extinct. According to Gulbrandsen, the trees could turn their growing cycles on and off like a light switch, and the winter shutdown occurred immediately. However, the team is still trying to determine how active the trees were during the summer months and whether they could force themselves into dormancy while it was still light out. Number 9. Mauritia. Scientists have uncovered a fascinating mystery of the ocean floor, the possibility that a long-lost continent may lie beneath the Indian Ocean and its surrounding islands. Researchers have conducted extensive analysis, including gravity mapping, rock examination, and plate movement reconstruction. The conclusion from these studies led them to believe that the Indian Ocean contains the remains of an ancient continent that was pulled apart by plate tectonics between 50 million and 100 million years ago. And of course, the researchers were quick to name this prehistoric landmass. They settled on Mauritia. This discovery suggests that the Indian Ocean could be home to many other such continental fragments, which have been hidden from view by lava from underwater volcanoes. Seychelles, a group of 115 islands located about 1,500 kilometers east of Africa, is of particular interest to geologists. Most islands are made up of a dense, chemically distinct oceanic crust created mid-ocean by magma welling up beneath separating tectonic plates. But Seychelles is unique because it's one of the few large islands that are composed of the same continental crust as the mainland. Most importantly, the discovery of this lost continent challenges previous assumptions about the history and geology of the Indian Ocean region. With continued research, we may gain a better understanding of the hidden history of our planet and its ever-changing geological makeup. Number 10. Hiawatha Crater. Scientists have recently discovered that an enormous impact crater hidden beneath Greenland's Hiawatha Glacier was most likely created by a kilometer-wide asteroid that hit Earth 58 million years ago. This age is much older than originally thought, and it supposedly occurred 8 million years after the asteroid impact that caused the extinction of most dinosaurs. Initially, when the Hiawatha crater was discovered in 2015, researchers suspected that it was created by a meteorite between 12,000 and 3 million years ago, a time period that roughly corresponds to the last ice age. Given the conditions of the crater, scientists believed that the asteroid had crashed into an already formed ice sheet. Although this theory was based on circumstantial evidence like radar scanning. In the years following the discovery of the 19.3 miles wide indent, scientists have been trying to determine the true age of the crater, a task that has been nothing short of challenging given that much of the evidence is buried beneath a kilometer of ice. Researchers from Denmark and Sweden have now used 2 different dating methods to conclude that the impact occurred 58 million years ago, a date that has taken many experts by surprise. Number 11. Mysterious sounds from Ross Ice Shelf. During a study of the Ross Ice Shelf in Antarctica, researchers discovered an unusual sound being emitted. At first, everyone was scared by the haunting vocals, but soon, scientists got to the bottom of the phenomenon. The scientists were not searching for this phenomenon, but stumbled upon it while using seismic sensors to study the crust and mantle beneath Antarctica. They found that the ice slabs on the surface vibrate and produce strange sounds due to wind and melting. After monitoring the ice for 2 years, they discovered that the ice continuously produces different frequencies of sound depending on wind and melting. The sound comes from high-frequency waves trapped in the upper couple of meters of snow, which vibrates when winds blow across the ice shelf. Understanding the characteristics of melting in Antarctica and the upper layers is a crucial task for scientists, because it too can represent a key variable in predicting sea level rise over the coming decades. According to estimates, if the entire Antarctic ice sheets were to melt, sea levels would rise by a staggering 197 feet. Add this to the 200 feet of the Greenland ice sheet, and no land stands a chance. But don't worry. It's important to note that even on rapid timescales, this process would still take thousands of years. But at the end of it, the world would look vastly different, with most coastal cities sitting entirely underwater. Number 12. Penguin supercolony. In a surprising discovery, researchers on an expedition to an icy island chain off the Antarctic Peninsula's northern tip have found a massive supercolony of over 1.5 million Adelie penguins. Yeah, scientists were already aware of an Adelie penguin colony on these islands, but satellite images showed more guano on the rocky islands than could be accounted for by the expected numbers of the colony. Study co-author Heather Lynch, an ecologist at Stony Brook University in New York, explained that the team had not realized the extent of the penguin population on the small island chain, which is only about 10 kilometers across. During a 2015 expedition, the team conducted a preliminary head count, took drone images, and collected mud cores. Using a computer algorithm to analyze the images, the scientists counted 751,527 penguin nests and assumed there was a partner penguin out at sea for each nesting bird. With the collected mud cores, researchers will be able to access more information about how long the penguins have been nesting in the Danger Islands. The discovery is a rare piece of good news for penguin conservationists, as penguin colonies in other parts of Antarctica are in decline due to more volatile climate conditions. Fingers crossed that the rest of the species is able to thrive in a similar way. Number 13. Active volcanic heat source. In another surprising turn of events, a team of scientists led by Assistant Professor Bryce Luce from the University of Rhode Island's Graduate School of Oceanography has found an active volcanic heat source beneath Antarctica's Pine Island Glacier. Yes, an active volcano is spewing its heat out beneath the glacier. Their findings, which are crucial in understanding the stability of the West Antarctic ice sheet, were published in the latest edition of Nature Communications. The team made this discovery during a major expedition in 2014 to Antarctica aboard an icebreaker, the RRS James Clark Ross, from January to March. The research was aimed at gaining a better understanding of the role of the ocean in melting the ice shelf. While sampling the water for 5 different noble gases, they found high concentrations of helium-3, a gas that indicates volcanism. The discovery was unexpected. As the team wasn't looking for volcanism, they initially thought they had a cluster of bad or suspicious data, but the reality was much different. It is necessary to state that the volcano cannot be blamed for the melting ice caps. Climate change is still the #1 cause of rising sea levels. Only now, scientists will be able to factor in another source of heat into their research. Number 14. Methane seeps. Scientists have made a groundbreaking discovery by finding the first active methane seep in Antarctica, providing new insights into the role that methane plays in warming the planet. Andrew Thurber, a marine ecologist at Oregon State University, explains that a methane seep is a location where methane gas escapes from an underground reservoir into the ocean. Although methane seeps have been found throughout the world's oceans, this is the first active seep discovered in Antarctica in the Ross Sea. The finding is crucial because methane is a potent greenhouse gas that is more powerful than carbon dioxide at warming the planet. The researchers' findings, published in the journal Proceedings of the Royal Society B, were supported by the U.S. National Science Foundation. By studying the microbes found in the Antarctic seep, the researchers discovered that they are different from those found elsewhere in the world's oceans. This new knowledge has helped researchers better understand methane cycles and the factors that decide whether methane will reach the atmosphere and contribute to further warming. Number 15. Perfect fossils. A surprising discovery was made at the University of Copenhagen when a 15-foot tube of ice and dirt from Greenland, recovered by a U.S. military team in 1966, was analyzed in 2019. What was intriguing about this block of ice was what was held within it. The international team of researchers discovered perfectly preserved twigs and leaves, and that meant that vegetation once existed in the area that is now buried under tons of ice. In fact, this could also suggest that a massive portion of Greenland may have been ice-free at some point in the past. This discovery is particularly important because it allows us to anticipate the dangers of climate change. When researchers analyze Greenland's ice sheet, scientists may be able to predict its behavior and estimate how long it will take before the sheet melts completely. And in turn, we can estimate just how much the sea levels will rise. And this is much more serious. This discovery proves that Greenland is very vulnerable to human-induced climate change, and that's because its ice sheet has melted once in the past without human intervention. And now that the mercury is rising faster than before, the sheet may just melt entirely. And if that happens, the sea levels could rise by 20 feet. It would be nothing short of a catastrophe,